Hey everyone, it's Skipper Mark, and today Matt is going to replace the right rear caliper on his 85 IROC Camaro. Not many of the Camaros came with rear disc brakes, so he was lucky and found that one store locally, O'Reilly's, had the caliper. So we're going to put that on. Before you do anything to the caliper, the first thing you want to do is open the cover on the master cylinder. You have to do this when you bleed the brakes, so it's a good idea to do it right from the beginning. Matt lifts the car by putting a jack under the differential and raising it up and then lowering it down onto two jack stands. First thing Matt is going to do is take off the parking brake. Is it just a cable?
It's like a whole bracket.
Okay, so it's like a bracket thing. So this is the bracket here that Matt took off, and it's just held on by a nut, and then you've got the spring and the cable for the emergency brake. This is the caliper that came out of the car, but I wanted to show how the emergency brake cable works because you couldn't see when Matt undid that in the video. So what happens is there's a cable that comes up, it goes through this little spring there, and then it actually attaches up here at the end. So you want to undo that, and then you actually unscrew this nut here, and you take the whole bracket assembly off. And the reason you do that is the hose, the brake hose, will go right in there, the brake line. So you can't get a wrench in there to take it off. The next step is to take off the caliper. There's a couple bolts or nuts on the other side that you loosen up, and then it should just sort of slip right off. Sometimes the caliper gets stuck and you need to use a screwdriver to pry it off a little bit.
This one's stuck because it's frozen.
I don't know if you guys heard what Matt said, but he said it's stuck because it's frozen. These here are the brake pads that came out of the caliper, and then these are the slide pins that hold the caliper to the axle. This is the old caliper here. Matt actually thought that the emergency brake was locked on and just keeping the caliper locked, but it turns out the caliper is actually bad. Matt wants to get the brake pads in and everything set to go with the caliper so that he can just unscrew the hose for the other one and put it onto this one without losing too much brake fluid. Last thing I wanted to mention is that when you put the brake hose in, you want to make sure you use the two washers that come with the brake kit so that it makes a real tight seal and you don't get any fluid leakage. One thing that's really important is to get any rust and debris off of the hub. So Matt's going to get a brush and clean that out and get that nice and debris free. It's also really good to clean the rotor because you want a tight metal-to-metal connection. These are the new slide pins, and you want to put brake grease on them. And what that does is that allows the caliper to move in and out freely and not get stuck. To make it so the least amount of fluid leaks out of the brakes, Matt's going to get the new caliper put on, and he's going to unscrew the hose from the old one and screw it right into the new one. So hopefully it should drip very minimal. Matt's swapping the hose now. It leaked a little bit, but not much. Matt's going to attach the new emergency brake bracket. Unfortunately, it's way up inside, and I don't really have a way to get in there to do it. But when you take the old one off, this one goes on just like that. So Nancy's going to help Matt bleed the brakes. She's going to pump the pedal while he opens the valve and lets out the pressure. Do that a few times, and eventually the hose will fill up with fluid and pressure, and it won't. The brakes won't go down to the floor anymore.
Again, don't push the pedal so hard. Or don't, when you push it to the floor, just do it nice and slow. It's shooting like 4 feet out.
Holding.
Okay, again.
Matt's refilling the brake cylinder since some of the fluid went in the hose and down to the other brake.
Pull. Let go.
A lot of people have made comments about Matt using an impact wrench to put on his wheels, but he's not using any real torque on it. It's basically like 10 pounds, so you can probably finger tighten it more than what the wrench is doing. It's just a quick way to get the lug nuts on, but it is very, very important when you do it to start threading them first so that you don't cross thread it. You know, you got to get the thread on, make sure it's screwing properly, and then you can tighten it, because otherwise you'll cross thread it and have to replace that stud. Matt's going to now torque the wheels with his torque wrench. You want to do whatever the proper spec is for your car. I know I didn't go into a lot of detail about how to do this, but there's hundreds, thousands of videos on the internet of how to do brakes. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what was involved. If you have any questions, though, please leave a message in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to answer as best I can. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.